Oh, happy day. Last piece of the puzzle came in. My 90-degree silicone hose.
I wish you could see me now that it's over with my rabbit foot and my four-leaf clover and all the things that you say.
This thing cost 35 bucks and it took 4 days to get here. So I don't want to mess it up. So I think I'm gonna leave it long and just keep nibbling it back until I get it to exactly where I want it. That way I don't mess it up. I can always take more off, but I can't put more on. More on. How do I cut this? Just an X-Acto knife? Is that right? Double and triple check. Okay, there it goes. So I'm using a Dell'Orto PHBG on this bike. I wanted to keep it Italian. I was going to do my Mikuni, but just didn't feel right putting a Japanese carburetor on an Italian bike. But I've never played around with one of these Dell'Ortos, so I'm going to open it up and see what's what inside of it. I see that this is like some kind of fuel air mixture screw. This is the idle screw. But I don't know what's going on in here. I don't know how many jets it has. I have figured out this part. This part is real simple. It's more like a Bing, you know, with the cylinder that goes up and down. But let me open this thing up and see what's what. Ooh, I think there's 3 jets. All right, so this is the idle jet. Because if the needle is fully seated, this won't go. So that 60 is my idle jet, and maybe even like low rev jet. I have no idea what that tiny little guy is. I don't even see where he comes out. Alright, so I did some reading up. So this is the choke jet out front here. Closest to the air intake is the choke jet. And this is, of course, is the main jet, and then down here is the idle jet. That's the one that's controlled with the fuel air screw. The one thing did say to go ahead and take this metal disc off, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Pretty much everybody on Moped Army says to do that, so I will. So I've got a 96 jet in here, which I think is going to be way too big. But better big than small, and I was reading on that moped spreadsheet, you know, the tuning spreadsheet, and it got me scared. Some people are running like 105s with this kit and this carb. That seems way too big to me. I think I'm gonna hover, I think I'm gonna probably be around an 85, 88 maybe, but I put a 96 in there and we'll see. Maybe it'll be real super rich. It's always better to be rich when you're starting it up than to be lean. So we'll start tuning it after that. I think I'm gonna end up at a 86. 86 is my bold prediction, but let's see what happens. 96 is in there right now. Here I'm just running the fuel line, keeping it away from the cylinder and head, and buttoning up the carb. I might make a bracket for this, but I'm not going to do that right now. Malassi air filter, made in Italy. How's that look? Looks pretty badass, I think. Yeah, all right, here we go. Got the big door open, the fan going. I've done this long enough that I'm not getting my hopes up. If it doesn't start, I won't be particularly upset. I'm expecting to have to do some troubleshooting. I know that jet's gonna be rich as hell. If it does start, then hot damn, we did well. But anyway, I've got it pretty full of gas. I got the gearbox oil all filled up. I got everything torqued. I can't think of anything else I can do to prep for this, so I'm starting her up. Alright, there's choke is on. Gas is on. I've looked for leaks. Come on, Lucky. Alright, yeah, she's terribly rich. Terribly rich. And that clutch isn't grabbing right. It doesn't feel like anyway. Maybe it's just because I'm not getting enough revs, but that clutch isn't grabbing at all. I mean, I can make it grab when I pull the clutch in, but I shouldn't have to do that. That should be happening automatically. I didn't check for air leaks. That was a quick little jaunt. That carb is way rich. I figured it would be. I'm gonna go down 6 or 8 jets. I think I've got a 96 in there now. I'll probably go down to a 90. And I think that's still gonna be rich, but at least it'll get me more in the ballpark. After I get this thing started and idling pretty well, I'll come back and I'll check for air leaks. I feel like that exhaust is leaking a little bit. I could hear the right out front there. So I have another gasket. I'll probably put 2 gaskets in there, see if I can seal it up. But unfortunately, this is my lunch break, so I gotta go back to work in 7 minutes. So I won't be doing any of that right now. I'll see if the wife and kids let me come out here tonight, because now I'm excited and get her running perfect. All right. I'm not 100% sure what the last thing I showed you on the video is. If it was the first start and little play around with it, that was probably 6 or 7 weeks ago now at this point. I've been sitting here trying to tune this stupid thing. At first I thought it was my carb. It's the first time I ever messed with one of these PHBG carbs. So I messed with that for a couple of weeks. I'm reasonably sure I've got that thing dialed in perfectly. Then I thought it was the timing, so I kept messing with the timing. I've got it so, I mean, the thing flies off of the line. It's fast. The carb is perfect. I gotta think it's perfect at this point. What happens is I'll get up to about 35 miles an hour, and I can do that at about half throttle, maybe a little bit more than half throttle. And then if I try to give it full throttle, I just start choking. It starts cutting out. I'm starting to think it's the electrical system. I'm starting to think that these points and this old coil that I'm using just isn't keeping up with it. So to that end, I bought some parts. The only real packaged CDI that you can get for this engine, it's like 300 bucks. So I got some of these Pietcard. They're an Argentinian company. You can buy them on treats. I'll throw the links up. I got some of these guys to try to set up my own CDI. This is the Pietcard 2041. Yeah. This is a new external coil. And then this is the new ignition coil and sender, which will take the place of the points and ignition coil that I currently have. I've never messed with this stuff, so I'm not 100% sure how it works. I'm just going to get in there and start flipping things around. I don't know how to set the timing on this. I'll probably just use a light to set the timing because I don't know where it ends up after you have this thing in there. So, yeah, how does it know when to fire? That's the damn question. I mean, if I remove the points, will it have like a little thing that, I mean, it's not going to know when the flywheel's passing by. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm just going to get in there and start flipping some parts out and see what we get. As soon as I start learning some stuff, I'll come back and fill you in. But I'm really hoping this solves my issue. Hey, it's the next day. Went home and did some research because I couldn't understand. You know, most CDIs have a little magnet or something on there that tell it when to fire. And I couldn't figure out, like, if we remove the points and I use the old flywheel on this, I couldn't figure out how this would learn, you know when to fire. But I read it last night, and it's something with the switch between AC and DC, so it fires 2 times every revolution, which I'll have to update my Trail Tech, I think, because my Trail Tech figures out RPMs by monitoring how many times that thing sparks. So I'll need to make sure it knows it sparks 2 times a revolution, but I now understand how this thing works. So, that being said, this is my lighting, oh, let me zoom you in. This is the lighting coil, which I don't want to mess with. This is the ignition coil, which I do want to mess with. I think, unfortunately, my ignition coil also supplies some power to the brake lights. The blue wire goes to the brake line, so I'll have to figure out how to run those off of this lighting coil. Or maybe I can run it off of this, I'm not sure. But basically this thing is going to replace the ignition coil, the points, and the condenser. I don't need any of that stuff anymore. So I'm taking it all off. New comment. I love new comments. Did you install the oil seals? From Drew. Yes, I did install the oil seals. I've got to extend these wires a bit, so I'm soldering it on and heat shrinking it so that it looks pretty and is protected. Alright, I've got this thing wired up. I need to make this a lot prettier than it is right now, but before I even start figuring out where I'm going to put stuff, I just want to make sure it works. If it works, then I can start worrying about mounting stuff. Choke, get some choke. So it worked. Actually better than I thought it would. Started pretty much right up. I didn't take it for a ride because I've got all these wires everywhere. Now I've got to find a place to mount all of this new crap, which is going to be difficult. And I'm going against one of my rules here. I've got to mount the CDI box right about here. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is with a stupid ass nutsert, which I hate. I've had too many of those things spin on me, so I don't trust them, but this is pretty light duty. Duty. Just like I'm going to put a little Loctite on that, but just like that. And I made sure that, yes, this still fits, and it covers it up pretty nicely, I think. So that's a good spot for it. Beautiful. Now I just got to worry about the coil, which will fit under here, but I don't want it vibrating around in there, so I'm going to make up some sort of little mount so that it's solid in there. Hey, we're getting close here. I'm dialing in the timing, which is usually one of the last things I do, so you know you're getting close to the finish line when you're sitting here messing with timing. When you have a point system, timing is pretty easy. You know, you can just rotate it by hand, see when those points open, shove a caliper down there and see exactly where you are before top dead center. It's not too hard, and there's plenty of tutorials out there on YouTube on how to do that. When you get to CDI, it's a little bit different and a little bit more involved. I always like to use a timing gun to verify my timing, and I've done that a couple times before, and I had a couple comments asking me how I did that. I'm going to show you my method for it. I don't know it's the right method. It works for me, but there might be a better method out there. I don't know. But here's my setup. I have a charger, just a regular battery charger that I use as my 12 volt DC. You can use a car battery or whatever you have. This just works easy for me. You connect the leads to your charger, the leads from the timing gun, from the timing light to your charger, and then you connect the inductive reader onto your spark plug wire. The next thing you do is you just make a mark on your flywheel, wherever the hell you want. Doesn't matter, just put a mark on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Somewhere that's easy to see for now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is turn her on. When I can see it, you know, hold the light, and then I'll make a mark on the case where I see this mark. And then we'll come back and I'll show you what I do after that. But let me start her up. So I put it in a bad spot. I put it here and it was marking right here, which is hard for me to line up. So since I knew it was right here, I just rotate that till it's right there, right where it was doing it. And I'm going to make another mark up here so I can mark on the case somewhere I can see. And now that I have that other mark, I'm going to rub off the first mark I put on here. so I don't get confused. Okay, so now I've made a mark. I'm going to turn it back on and I'm going to mark right here on the case exactly where that thing lines up to. So, start it back up. So as this thing was spinning, I saw that this mark was firing right there, like right there. So you see I made this little mark on my case that lines up to it. Now I know when this flywheel, when this line is exactly lined up to that line right there, that's when I have a spark. That's the very first thing you need to do to start the timing of your bike. Now I'm going to take off the spark plug and see how many millimeters before top dead center this cylinder is right this minute. See, my caliper has a little thing that comes out of the back right there. Yours probably does too. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing in here, extend it out a little bit so that it bottoms out on the cylinder, what you want, and then rotate the engine until it hits the very top. This is a thing you do by feel. See how it goes up and down here on the very tippity top. There. Pull it out gently and then zero it out right there. Okay, so now I know that's top dead center. You see if I move this, it goes down, up, but right when it's at zero is how far that was when it was at top dead center. I also make a mark at top dead center. So now I have a mark where my current timing is, and I have a mark at where this line is at very top dead center. So now I'm going to go and put it on the line where it was firing before. I'm going to stick it in. I'm going to shove it down. And I'm going to look at that reading. And you can see right now I'm at 1.6 millimeters before top dead center. So by using my timing light, I now have a mark on the case where it fires, and I have a mark on the case where it's at top dead center. So now that I know that, what I need to do is set it so this thing lines up. If I want it advanced, I'll set it so it lines up down here, and if I want it retarded, I'll set it so it lines up here. And you can tell exactly how much you're gonna, where that line is. Like you can mark here, say you want it to fire 2 millimeters before top dead center. Well, go ahead and use your caliper, find where 2 millimeters is before top dead center, mark on your case where that is, and say you want 1.4. Mark on your case where 1.4 is. Advanced means that it fires early in the combustion cycle. Retarded means it fires late in the combustion cycle. So if I was going to advance, so if here's top dead center, right? So if I'm sitting here and I wanted to advance the timing, I would move my whole stator so that it fired down here. And if I wanted to retard my timing, I would move my whole stator so that it fired up here. I know this is basic stuff, but I thought best to start on the basics. Here's the deal. My Pietcard 2041 has a curve on it, and the curve sets it at fully advanced when it is at idle. So that's what I put this mark on right here, which is at 1.6 before top dead center. That is fully advanced, which means when I get up into the high RPMs, it's going to retard it and retard it and retard it, and I'm probably going to be somewhere around 1.0 when it's going the high RPMs. I don't want it that high. I actually want, when it's fully retarded, I want it about 1.4, 1.5. So right around in this area, I'd imagine, but we'll get a mark on there. That means that when it's advanced, when it's at idle, I need to move the whole stator so that it comes down in this area, but then when I hit the high RPMs, it'll move that curve so it fires up in this area. I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I'm going to link some real good resources on Moped Army where you can look, and if you have questions, you can get a hold of me in the comments or on the Moped Discord, and I'll answer any questions you have. But basically, just know you need 2 marks on here, is what you get from your timing light, where it's firing, and then after you have that from your timing light, you come and remark where top dead center is, and then you adjust accordingly. So right now, I'm going to take off this flywheel. I'm going to rotate, since I think I'm too retarded right now. I want to advance all of the timing a bit. I'm going to take off the flywheel and rotate my whole stator this way so that my firing happens right around here, I think. I'm going to have my idle firing happen right around here, and then as it gets to high RPMs and retards, it'll move up to hopefully right around here. So that's how I use a timing light and a digital caliper to tell me where I need to be. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little cold for shorts today. I didn't expect to have the door open and everything, but I'm regretting that about now. So you move this by loosening these screws and rotating, and these are slotted. So we were firing lined up with that line, and now I'm hoping we're firing right about there. A little bit less, right there. This chain is too loose. Gotta tighten that bitch up. I don't know if you could see that, but it's idling a little bit before our 2.1, so it's probably like 2.2 or 2.3. I'll find out. And I marked it where it is at full retard at full throttle. So I'm going to go ahead and see where that is before top dead center and figure it out. But I can tell already it's running a little better. I can tell it likes that idle. I might retard it just the littlest bit. Let me see where this line is when it's at full retard. Let me see what it is. When it's fully retarded. I shouldn't say full retard. I don't know. It's hard to be politically correct when you're timing an engine. Ow, motherfucker, that's hot. And we are bang on. 1.35 fully retarded, and about 2.1, 2.2 at idle, fully advanced. I think that's right. But there's really only one way to tell. I'm taking her out. Oh, I just hit 46 miles an hour. And I'm running rich. One thing that keeps happening, my trail tech keeps resetting. Keeps losing power for a second. I don't know why. I'll dig into that. But this bike is going to be ridiculously fast. It's not even tuned, I can tell. I think the timing's dead on now. But that carb is still giving me problems. And I just hit 46 miles an hour. I'm in love. I'm in love. It's been one of those weeks. Probably the last thing I'm showing on this episode before right now was me taking it for a quick test ride and hitting 46 miles an hour. It wasn't 100% dialed in, and I was chasing the dragon. I was after that 50. I don't know why that's such a magical number to me, but it is. So what have I done since? Well, first off, the trail tech kept flashing on and off. I thought it was a loose battery, so I pulled out the battery cover and I shimmed it up. Incorrect, it was not a loose battery. It was my spark plug. I didn't have a resistor spark plug in there and it was messing with the electronics. Threw a resistor spark plug in there and boom, the trail tech is behaving perfectly. Secondly, I leaned this out a little bit, trying to chase that 50, and it took off the line like a bat out of hell. I had to hold on. It was going crazy fast. I didn't make it to 50, and I'll tell you why. Can you hear that? It's in the engine somewhere. I messed something up. I think on that super fast takeoff, I broke something, I bent something. I've had to fight every inch of this stupid moped, I'll tell you that. You know, some mopeds just come right together and you can say, boom, I'm finished with it. This is not one of those mopeds. I'm not going to give up or anything. But I believe for the 7th time, I do have to take this engine off and open her up again and find out what the hell I did. I'm going to start by just taking off the cover and seeing if it's in the tranny somewhere and I can get it easy, but when I hear it, it's coming from inside. I can track it to inside the cases. I don't know, maybe I'll get lucky and it's just something in here, but I think it's the gear or the little peanut thing that's inside here, slipped off somehow, some way. I'm not sure. So as I said, this is one of those weeks. Besides the Garelli, the other issue, I was notified I have to be out. They sold my workshop. The owners sold it. They're building a brewery and a bowling alley here. So I have to be out. I've got about 40 days till I have to vacate. I don't have a place to go yet. I'm looking. I'll probably upgrade significantly. So it's not terrible news. I've been looking for a bigger spot. I don't have any internet here. I don't have any running water here, which, let me tell you what, has led to a lot of quick drives home, especially after a Taco Bell night. I could have fudged this one, by the way, just so you know, I could have fudged it and just gloss over the fact that the engine's making a terrible clicking noise. But it's not done yet. It doesn't feel like it's done yet, and I hate to do a finale when it's not perfect. So I'm going to take my time about it and make her perfect and then film it when it is perfect. What the hell?
And I wish you could see